Do you remember how, when you were a kid, you could spend ages lying in the grass, watching ants climb blades of grass, or watching the butterflies and the bees? Maybe if you didn't grow up in the country like me, maybe you remember watching raindrops run down the windows. Have you ever noticed how children are in their own world, especially small children, before they've let the world get to them? They kind of live in their own little spacey world, and trying to bring them into the adult world where there is time and there are things to do is quite a struggle. I have a friend who has a daughter who's about 5 or 6 now. 6. And she says it's like being in 24/7, having 24/7 responsibility for a tiny drunk person, because you're constantly going, honey, no, this way, no, get your coat on, we have to go now, get your coat on. So there's something that children have that we've forgotten. As we learned to get places on time and to do things on schedule, we forgot how to disengage from that schedule. But that's not being unconstrained by that schedule, and losing track of time is something we actually need to do. It's good for our mental health. If you think about it, as much as we try to train our children to take notice of the clock and to know when we've got to go and you've got to get your coat on and it's time to go, that's useful information. That's, we need to take notice of the clock in order to run our lives. But also, this is a both and. The children are the ones who are in the present moment, who are absolutely relaxed. Children aren't stressed out and anxious unless there is an outside force or an outside trauma on them. So their natural state, our natural state, was to be stress-free. So if we want to become stress-free again, if we want to slow down and let go of that ongoing, low-level anxiety that stress brings, then maybe we need to look to children, or remember what it was like to be children, and go back there again. Because clocks are useful, but they're only useful up to a point. They have to serve us, and not the other way around. So, remember how you used to watch raindrops on the window, or grasses swaying in the breeze, or watch the clouds passing by overhead, and how you used to be able to almost detach completely from the world around you? Wouldn't it be useful to do that again? There was a time when you did that all the time. I can remember a time when I did that constantly, multiple times a day, going into my own world. Feeling connected, I think. Feeling connected with the world. I can remember even when I was in high school that I would sit next to the window because I loved to stare out of the window and watch the treetops swaying and the birds flitting about, and to just be aware that while the lesson was going on in the room and we were all stressing out about whether we were going to pass our exams, out there outside the window where the trees were swaying and the birds were flitting about, life on a bigger level was just carrying on its own little way, in a very stress-free, worry-free way, while we were all stressing out like crazy in our little human world. So I invite you this week, as your homework, if you would like, remember what it was like to be a child and get lost in something tiny or something huge. So something tiny like raindrops on the window, or like watching bugs in the grass and get lost for a moment, or watch something much bigger, watch the clouds going by, and feel how your breathing slows down and your stress level starts to just settle. I think that might help. See you next week.